things about teaching is before you start the lesson, people have an idea of what's going to come, then the lesson itself, and at the end, to summarize it. That way, the key messages get solidified. And of course, we are hearing from Sri Krishna. And the entire format of the Bhagavad Gita is also very similar. In the very second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna begins to speak, he summarizes the whole Bhagavad Gita principles. And then there is the lessons in between. And in chapter 18, everything is summarized again. So we'll follow the same format that Lord Sri Krishna has set up. So before we start, I'm going to recite invocation mantras. If you are familiar, you follow along. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. The introduction begins with what is called Mangala Charana. Acharana means behavior or activity, and Mangala is auspicious. So Mangala Charana means you begin with important activities, and important activities to respect and offer homage to one's teachers, spiritual masters, to what do we call parampara, which we're going to hear about today, and finally our Lord Sri Chaitanya and Panchatattva, leading up to Radha and Krishna. So it's there in the introduction. If you'd like to, then follow along. Otherwise, just hear them. Even that would be amazing for as an experience. It is to create the inner atmosphere, prepare it before, like we prepare the house before we invite someone to enter. So we are allowing or we are inviting the words of Krishna or Sri Krishna and Sri Krishna himself with all of his attendants to enter our heart. So Mangala Charana is to prepare the heart. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'm going to share my screen. I prepared some slides just so that visually we can appreciate the Bhagavad Gita. I don't have any fancy pictures. Usually my PowerPoints have only pictures and no words. And today I have only words and no pictures. Okay. Because it's more of appreciating or learning the chapter. So for now, let me see. 1 second. Okay. Okay, there it is. This being Philosophy Friday, and we're going to do Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. So the entire chapter is pretty much, we can understand as 6 main sections. Now, different people do 5 sections, 4 sections, but I'm appreciating it as 6 sections, and you'll see why as we go along. And these sections are important to understand because the like any book, there are chapters, and in every chapter there are sections, and the focus of the discussion shifts from one topic to another, and it all remains under the main topic. And the fourth chapter is called Jnana Yoga, knowledge, and Prabhupada calls it transcendental knowledge. So I'm assuming you'll remember third chapter. In third chapter, in the beginning, Krishna had described that one should perform yajna for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra loko ayam karma bandhana. He said that those who don't perform yajna or sacrifice, they are bound, bandhana, by karma, and they remain in this world very strongly. It's like a dead weight. When you tie a dead weight to an object and drop it in water, then that dead weight drags the person or the object down to the bottom of the water body. So karma bandhana is like a dead weight. We're carrying luggage on our shoulder, very heavy. So we may call others coolie, but actually we are all coolies. We're coolies because we are carrying the huge burden of our karma on our shoulders. Some are good karma and some are bad karma. And Narada Muni explains that what people do in this world is they carry, like a person who carries weight. Let's say they're carrying on their head a very heavy burden. After a few minutes, you notice that your head and neck hurt very much. So the person takes the burden and puts it on the shoulder, and the head feels good. Ah, so nice. And a few minutes later, the shoulder starts paining very much. So the person takes it and puts the heavy bag or something on the hip, and then feels that the shoulder is nice and light, head is good. But few minutes later, the hip starts hurting. So to take the heavy weight and put it back on the head. And when the hip feels better, we think, life is good. So like this, there are activities where it gives us relief from the burden of karma, but the burden is not gone away. And the way for that burden to go is by yajna. So it's a very important aspect in the third chapter. And then Arjuna asks a question. Okay, for me to do yajna is a good idea, but Krishna, I'm finding that I want to go in this direction, but something inside me pushes me in an opposite direction. I know what I should do. I also know what I should not do, but I cannot help myself. There is a force inside me. And Krishna calls that lust. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajo guna samudbhava. So this kama, this lust, means this burning sensation for enjoying the world through our eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. There's constant need for enjoyment. And when that enjoyment is not available, then the person becomes agitated. And Krishna says that the only way to overcome this lust is through buddhi. And not regular buddhi, but param buddha, by transcendental intelligence. And that transcendental intelligence technically is called bhakti yoga. And that's where Krishna ends the third chapter. So in the fourth chapter, then Arjuna asks some questions, or Krishna begins with describing how that knowledge can be obtained. And so this entire discussion of transcendental knowledge, what it is, uh, because sometimes when we say knowledge, we have ideas of physics and chemistry and science or metaphysics. It's none of those. Something else is called Jnanam. But what is it is described in this chapter. So, how is that knowledge and how is our work, everyday work, connected? Because if they're not connected, can you imagine? I know something, I am a physics professor, but if I give sports commentary, it has no meaning. If I am a biology teacher or I'm an engineer, right? But sometimes I'm coding software for a hospital. That doesn't make any sense. But that's disconnection between knowledge and activity. But the real connection is when knowledge and actions flow properly or in proper succession, one after the other. And there are different types of yogis. Who are they? And what are the different ways in which they try to connect with the absolute truth in that knowledge? Then we want to know, mujhe kya milega? That's the question for everybody. We have radio stations called FM something, right? Radio Mirchi, FM 90 something. I don't know what it is, but FM. So, like that, we are all tuned into a particular radio program called WIIFM. This channel is our favorite channel. It's called What's in It for Me, WIIFM. So, Krishna is going to describe what this transcendental knowledge does. And finally, he tells Arjuna what he should do with it. And the order of the business at the current moment is that Arjuna is supposed to fight, but he's not fighting. And so before we get into the specific sections, I was at Northwestern University many years ago speaking on Bhagavad Gita, and I was invited by a professor, very accomplished professor, and he had a student body of about 150 students. And they were studying Bhagavad Gita, what it is, etc., in the short class, and invited me to speak to them. And after I gave my speech, the professor in front of the class asked me, "Oh, very nice. We really appreciate what you said. I have a question that has been bothering me for almost 10, 15 years since I know about the Bhagavad Gita. And the question is, why should Arjuna fight? I cannot understand why he should fight." So I said to him, okay, let's say um, if you, I said, what do the police do for us? And so in America, there's a tagline to serve and to protect. And so he said, yeah, they protect us. I said, all right, if you're in a situation, let's say uh, two gangs are fighting with each other and the neighbors are feeling scared, and there is the police, and you call the police and say there's a lot of violence, can you do something about it? And the police tells you, I'm sorry, I believe in ahimsa, I believe in non-violence, I cannot do anything. How would you feel? He said, I will feel very, very unprotected. I said, exactly. So Arjuna is a kshatriya, and in front of him he has seen Duryodhana and all of his followers destroy dharma. And as a Kshatriya, if he decides not to protect Dharma, what will happen to all the people? Oh, they will be scared. They will be persecuted. They don't feel safe. Exactly. And that is the reason Arjuna is being asked to fight because he's a Kshatriya. Oh, no one explained like that in 10, 15 years. I've asked many persons. Thank you. Now, can you tell me though, if Arjuna is to fight, why fight his brothers and uncles and friends? So I said, okay, let's take that example further. You are the policeman, and you find out that your brother is into drugs and you're doing a sting operation. You may have to arrest your brother. And if you are a policeman or a policewoman with good character, would you arrest your brother or not? He said, it'll be very difficult. Mhm. But he said, it's very difficult, but I've taken a promise to uphold the law, so I may have to do it. And I said, exactly. The difficulty that you think that this is my brother, how can I arrest him? Arjun is also going through, these are my relatives. How can I fight with them? And yet, he has to do his duty because if he says, I will help my family members, but others I will arrest, that is called corruption, which you're in India, most of you. I don't need to speak about that. We see it every day that they take care of their people and others are punished. But that is not proper. And so the professor said, I've never heard something like this in my all my life, trying to all my 15 years of trying to understand why Arjuna is having such a big problem. And now I do. And that's the sixth section where Krishna tells Arjuna what he's supposed to do now that he has this transcendental knowledge. So, taking it from there, let's see the first section. It's called disciplic succession. In Sanskrit, the word is called parampara. Krishna starts the chapter by saying, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham. I spoke this knowledge of yoga to Suryadev, Vivaswan. So the chapter begins with Imam, this knowledge. And we may wonder, what is this knowledge? Why is the chapter beginning with this? What is he referring to? He's referring to what he spoke in the third chapter, the science of sacrifice or yajna, and how yajna needs to be performed for the person to feel elevated and freed from the bond of karma. That knowledge, or that particular knowledge, imam yogam, this knowledge of yoga, proktavan, I spoke, vivaswan, I spoke to the Surya Dev. And Arjuna is like, wow. Vivaswan manave praho. Vivaswan spoke to Manu. Manur ikshvakave abravit. Manu spoke to Ikshvaku. And then Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Like this, one king to another king, one king to another king. This knowledge was passed down from generation to generation, from teacher to student, from teacher to student. So that's called parampara. Another word for this is called sampradaya. And it's an important word. We say we are from Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Sampradaya literally is the line. In Sanskrit, if you break the word sampradaya, prada means to give completely. Because dana comes from the word the, to give. So daya, to give. Pradaya, daya means to give. Pradaya means to give completely. And sampradaya means to give everything completely. So technically, the word sampradaya means bequeathing one's assets. For example, a father or mother will write in their will, all my assets, house, the money, the gold, this one, that one, cars, the business, everything I am bequeathing to my son or daughter. That is called sampradaya, which means that a student receives from their guru everything that they know. And the idea is that then the student will learn, assimilate it, become a better human being, a devotee particularly, and give that knowledge to others. So Krishna is saying, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. So one may wonder, and Arjuna will also wonder very soon, whoa, we're discussing Bhagavad Gita, and it's 5,000 years ago Krishna spoke to Arjuna, but Krishna is also saying that I spoke this to Vivaswan. How old is Vivaswan? And how old is Krishna? Is standing in front of me, and he is only 125 years or 100 years old at this time. How is it possible? One may wonder. So, in the purport, Prabhupada tells us that knowledge has no age, it's eternal. It just keeps coming back again and again in different times and purposes. So, this knowledge is very old. So, in one of the purports, Prabhupada describes minimally the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, minimally, is more than 200 million years old. And for such a long time, it has been carefully passed on from one generation to another generation. But something happens with time, right? It becomes time erodes everything, time destroys everything. Similarly, transcendental knowledge also, if not passed on properly, then becomes interrupted. So Krishna says, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sa kale neha mahata yoga nashta parantapa. Oh, Arjuna, parantapa means one who can make his enemies uncomfortable. Parantapa. Sakale neha mahata. By the power of time, this knowledge, yoga nashta, has become destroyed. Happens. And then a new generation has to start again. And so in chapter 4, Krishna says to Arjuna, I am starting that all over again with you. So that's the first section where Krishna is describing how knowledge gets passed on. Then, and Krishna says to Arjuna, I'm passing this knowledge to you because you are my friend and my devotee. Bhaktosi me sakha cha iti. You are my friend and devotee. That means this knowledge is very carefully given. It's not just given away to anybody and everybody. Even if it is given away, most people won't understand it. So, for example, if I give you a code, something, right? Star, hashtag, A, capital F, 2, uh, exclamation mark. You may think, oh, is that his password? Is that something? Is he conveying something to somebody? Sometimes codes are spoken openly and only few people understand it. And those who understand it, they have a pre-agreement. Hey, this is the code. This is how we're going to communicate with each other. And so there's something so secret and sacred is given out in codes. Even if others get it, they don't understand. This is one reason Vedic mantras were always given secretly. Even if it is done openly, most people won't even understand what it is. But it is always given secretly because that means you have some value for it. You don't give out your passwords to anybody in the spirit of sharing. You may share everything else, but passwords you don't share because by sharing that, you come under their influence. So Krishna also tells Arjuna, I'm only sharing with you because you're my friend and devotee. So the question is, what are you sharing? Knowledge, transcendental knowledge is knowledge about Krishna. Generally, people think of Krishna as an avatar or a very great person, a philosopher, some guide, and all of that is not true. Krishna is none of those. So Prabhupada used the term Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it has certain meaning for it. Godhead means we look up to many persons as gods. Of course, in the pantheon of the Vedas, we say that there are 33 million devatas and great sages, rishis. And in India, every street corner has some avatar, right? And people flock to them left, right, and center. Some can do magic. Some will promise you something. Some will give you secret mantras. Some will give you a way of yoga techniques. One will speak nicely and enchant everyone. but none of them is God. So Godhood or Godhead means that body where we look up to, they have certain powers. And among them, there is the Supreme Personality, one among all. That is what the Upanishads tell us. That there is one among many. And it doesn't mean I have one among many, you have another one among many. That's not correct. Generally, people think wrongly that Hinduism is a philosophy of many gods. Actually, that's not true. The Vedas and Upanishads are very clear. There's only one God, and that is Sri Krishna. That one Sri Krishna appears as many avatars, but they're all the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the special understanding of what is called simultaneous oneness and difference. So there is only one God, and it cannot be my God and your God. Then I'll say, oh, my God is better than your God. No, Srila Prabhupada used the phrase like a rose. In my language, I call rose by a one word. In your language, you will call the rose something else. But although we call by different names, the rose never changes. It's always the rose. So supreme that knowledge, and in knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita means knowledge about Krishna. And he's speaking about himself. Next is the word avatara. Uh, we've sometimes heard the meaning of the word mantra. Tra means to release, and mantra means one that releases the mind. So the root is tra, to release, and tara means one who releases. So Sri Ramachandra's name is called Tarakanama, that which releases from this world. So Tara means to, or Tara means to go from here to there. And Avatara means to come from up to down. So whenever Krishna or Krishna's avatars or Krishna's expansions come to this world, they come down, it is called avatarana, to come down. Because we cannot reach up, they have to come down. So again and again and again, different avatars come to this world. And we think, oh, they're born in a family, they seem to have mother and father, they seem to have a occupation like a kshatriya or a vaishya, and they seem to behave like us. So they are also like us, a human being. And this is where Krishna speaks, that whole section that says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha. One who knows my birth and activity. Such a person will not take birth again because they have come to understand the supreme secret that I am not one of all of you, although I look like you perhaps. Although none of us looks like Krishna. We don't have the bodily color like Krishna's. We don't have the effulgence like Krishna's. We don't have the beauty like Krishna's. We don't have Krishna's strength. And we don't have all the women running after us either. In fact, perhaps they're running away from us. So there is a difference between birth and what we call appearance. In Sanskrit, appearance is called avirbhava. So Prabhupada uses the example of the sun, Surya. Every morning the sun rises in the east and we say uh, sets in the west. But is that true? Does the sun, is it born and then die at the end of the day? No. The sun is always there. Never has the sun's light gone away. It's not like a bulb. You turn it on, you turn it off. It's always there. But we don't see every time. Only in the morning we see the sun, and at night the sun goes away from our vision. So we say the sun appears and disappears, but we never say Krishna or Ramachandra or Narasimha avatars. They are born and they die. It's not like that. And then Krishna speaks in this connection. So I am the Supreme Personality, and my appearance in this world is very mysterious. And one who knows this mystery is a person with true knowledge. And then he answers Arjuna, but there are people who will go to other gods. Hmm. I want health, so I will go to Surya Dev. I want beauty. I will go to Indra maybe. I want knowledge. My mind should be peaceful, so I'll pray to Somadev. I want a very good wife, so I will go to Lord Shiva. I want knowledge, so Saraswati. I want money, so Lakshmi Devi. I want my job interview to go very well, no obstacles, so Ganesha. So Krishna says, this is not knowledge. This is business. I go wherever I get my things done. This is not knowledge. So he says that those whose minds are influenced by agyana or ignorance, tamas, they will run after different gods. One day this one day that one. One day this one day that one. On Monday this one, Tuesday that one, Wednesday another one, Thursday this one, Friday Devi, Saturday someone else, Sunday I don't know, I take a break. So I get Monday back. Not like that. Then that knowledge is not proper or complete. So that's the second section. Then the third section, Krishna talks about, okay, now that you have this knowledge, you're supposed to do something with it, right? We go to college and school and university to get some knowledge, so we use it. But just using it is not important, especially when you're talking of transcendental knowledge or jnana. So Krishna is saying jnana needs to come along with other things. So the definition of karma that's discussed in this section has three aspects to it. One is the action, the physically what I do. But second is the motivation, what's not seen, but why I do or how I do. And finally, what's important is the goal, why. If we notice, many of our actions don't have our motivation in place, or we have a wrong motivation, and the goal is not clear. For example, when we are with somebody and we want something from them, then we speak nicely. But inside, we may not feel like that about them. We say, oh, you're a very nice person. You're such a great person. But inside, we may think, I know what you do after 6 o'clock. But we don't say because our motivation is something else. We want not to appreciate them, but we want something from them. So action and motivation sometimes are out of sync. But then goal. And the goal is that I want the absolute truth. I want to be able to see Krishna. I want to be able to go and live where Krishna is. Or I want Krishna to come and live with me. I want to be able to live with the devotees of Krishna, not just for 5 minutes, but for eternity. If that's the goal, then my motivation is driven by that goal and my actions will follow that motivation. So Krishna describes three aspects, what he calls karma, then vikarma, the opposite, and akarma. So the word karma generally is thought of as action, and that's only half the truth. Karma means action and reaction, like in Newton's third law. Whatever I do has a equal and opposite reaction. And in my life, I am moving through this world constantly adjusting what I do and what I get back in return. And what I get back in return is stored. And depending on different circumstances, by what I stored It pushes me to do something else to either add to that karma again or not. So there is a path. Like when a plane is landing in the dark, you have lights on the runway to show the plane, to show the pilot where to land. So the Vedas are like the lights that light up our runway. So we can take off and land safely from one activity to another. Because if there's no lights, then we'll crash. So karma technically means to follow one's life carefully according to Vedas and Upanishads, or scripture in general. If we don't follow Vedas, any scripture that we follow, that would be called karma. Because that following of scripture leads us towards the ultimate goal of life. I don't want to do it. I challenge it. Oh, the Vedas are all man-made. Upanishad is some old sage with long beard sitting in the Himalayas who wrote something just to make me do something. I will act against it. That's called vikarma. And then we get very heavy reactions for it. And we wonder, why? Why is it happening? Oh, because bad things are happening to me. There is no God. No, it's happening because of the laws in which this world is governed by, and equal and opposite reactions. So vikarma means to consciously violate the dharma given in our scriptures. And the word akarma means following dharma, but at a higher level. A higher level means doing it for Krishna, doing it for the Supreme Lord. Remember in third chapter, Krishna said, Yajnarthat karmano anyatra. The other kind of work is to do for Vishnu. And that is called akarma. In Sanskrit, the syllable a represents Vishnu. Akarat Vishnu. So akarma means working for Vishnu. So anything that we do that is done for Krishna or Vishnu, that activity does not have a reaction back. For example, eating, because I like eating. People kill animals to eat. Now, our shastras or scriptures don't allow it. There is very strong restriction to how that can be done. There are concessions once a month, on Amavasya night, in front of Kali Devi. You should do it on your own, etc. So that is called karma. But if you just left, right, and center slaughter animals in the name of yagya, on this festival we'll slaughter a goat, on that festival slaughter a buffalo, this one, that one. No, that's called vikarma. And akarma is when whatever we cook, sattvic, because Vishnu will not accept anything other than sattvic food, because he is the Lord of Sattva Guna. When you offer it to him first and then eat, then there is no reaction from that food. There's no reaction from even killing a plant. Otherwise, even vegetarianism has reactions because you're taking some other entity's life. So the question always is to do or not to do. What this is Shakespeare. What am I supposed to do? I'm in this situation. Everybody has this problem. Even Arjuna. I am in this situation. I don't know what to do. And Krishna says, yes, it's very, very difficult. Not just you, Arjuna, but even the greatest of persons who have great knowledge, who have done meditation for thousands of years, are confused. What's the right thing to do? Kim akarvata, kim akurvata, kavayo api atra mohitaha, Krishna says. Kavi means very learned persons. In such situations, mohitaha, even they are confused. They don't know what's the right course of action. And therefore, one needs someone higher than them to help them navigate through such dilemma, or what we call in English conundrums, confusions, crossroads. Should I turn left? Should I turn right? I want this, I want that. You don't get both. So which is more important, etc. That's the third section. Then Krishna describes different types of yogis. So he says that the brahmacharis will perform yajna in the fire of knowledge. They will study, they will offer in the fire of learning. There will be, they will learn, there are some persons who perform Agnihotra yajnas. There are some persons who will learn this knowledge by performing deep meditation. There were some persons who will perform this one and that one, fasting, sitting under a tree, sitting in the middle of fire, meditating underwater. But they're all trying to develop this transcendental knowledge about me. So I called it different strokes for different folks. In our Hare Krishna movement, we have a joke, we call it different shloks for different folks. We all like different shlokas from different books. Then it's important to understand what is Vedic. We ask, is this Vedic? For example, a lot of people perform lot of yajnas. For example, one famous thing that we often tease is when you get a new car, uh, we put garland to the car, we break the coconut in front of the garland, we apply tilak to the car, and we hang lemon and green chilies. And we call it car puja. And Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita that car puja, he doesn't talk of car puja particularly, but the kinds of things people do that this, and I'm teasing, that car puja, I call it bekar puja. There is no use. Puja is for Vishnu, not for cars, right? But people think that, oh, if I worship my car, it will be safe. I will not be in an accident. That's not how it works. So, is this Vedic? Is something we need to ask ourselves. I'm fasting on such and such day for this one. I'm fasting on that day. I will take a vow that I will shave my hair when I go to that temple. Is that Vedic? Is that because we say everyone is doing? Because everyone is doing doesn't make it Vedic. We should know when to fast, when not to fast. For example, the Vedas describe that Ekadashi is the day to fast. Otherwise, we don't fast. We fast on the day Lord Vishnu and Lord Vishnu's devotees have taken appearance on this world. Like Ram Navami is coming up soon. That's the day of fasting. Ekadashi, that's the day of fasting. Janmashtami, Radhashtami, these are days of fasting. Not, oh, tomorrow is Tuesday, I need to fast. It's not like that. Or I will fast for 6 months if I get a new job, or if my son gets married very soon, I will come to such and such temple, uh, light a lamp inside an upturned lime or lemon wedge. No, these are not Vedic. So one should understand what is and what is not Vedic, and one wouldn't know without studying it. And then he says, Yagya actually means sacrifice. Yagya does not mean putting ghee in fire. That is the physical aspect, the activity part of it. But Yagya actually means in spirit, I'm sacrificing. But what am I sacrificing? I don't have anything. I'm sacrificing the mentality that these things belong to me. Actually, they all belong to Vishnu. That is the correct mentality of sacrifice. So we say, whatever I have, my house, my wealth, my cars, my possessions, my assets, my family members, whatever I put after the word my is all actually Vishnu's. Because look carefully, the house we build using everything that comes from Vishnu: sand, cement, limestone, wood, iron, everything comes from Mother Earth. That is Vishnu's property. The land itself is also Krishna's because Krishna says, Bhumi apanalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha Ahankara mitiyam me bhinna prakritir ashtada. They're all my energies. They belong to me. I say, oh, but the land I bought with my money. Sure, money is Lakshmi. Who does she belong to? Lord Narayana. Oh, I bought it because of my intelligence. Where does buddhi come from? Krishna says, buddhi is my energy. I'm giving it to you. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. He says in the 10th chapter, I give you the intelligence. So literally everything belongs to Vishnu, but we are busy in this world saying mine, 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 and mine. And as long as that person says mine, 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 one's baggage of karma is becoming heavier and heavier. So yajna means to be having this spirit of sacrifice. This is not mine. I'm just using it like when I'm living in someone else's apartment as a tenant. I may say my house, but actually I know I am paying rent to someone else. I am not the landlord. That is yajna. That's the next section. Then Krishna spends time teaching us or teaching Arjuna what is transcendental knowledge and where does it come from? He says knowledge comes from the spirit of sacrifice. If you don't have the spirit of sacrifice, knowledge will not come. Try whatever you want. So yajna brings transcendental knowledge. Therefore, great sages, great kings, and great people sit down or study the scriptures and perform bhakti in the spirit of sacrifice. This is for Lord Vishnu, yajnarthat, and that is what brings knowledge. And he says, but it's not just available in the ether that you just tune in your radio and you get it. It's not like that. It's not something you just get in your grocery store. It is secretly hidden in the heart of a guru. So Krishna tells, if you want it, you have to go to a guru. But how am I going to get it from a guru? Why should he or she give it to me? Well, you need to become eligible for it. And the eligibility, he says, is from three activities: pranipata, pariprashna, and sevaya. Pranipata in Sanskrit, patana means to fall, and nipata means to fall completely. Pranipata in Sanskrit, wherever pra is there, it means intensely. Pranipata, one should fall down on the ground in front of one's guru and offer obeisances. That means one should be very, very humble in front of one's guru. That is called pranipata. And then do what? He says pariprashna. Pariprashna. Prashna means to ask. Sometimes people ask their gurus completely useless questions. Can you find a muhurtam for such and such activity? Can you bless my car? Can you please, whatever, do this and do that? No. Pariprashna means higher level questions. The question of who am I? What is life all about? What is the goal of life? How can I achieve the goal of life? What is the secret of bhakti? How can I serve the Vaishnavas? This is pariprashna. And sevaya. Seva means that is Guru Dakshina. You don't take and not give anything. Sometimes people give money. Dakshina actually is in service. So one should serve one's guru very, very meaningly. Including Lord Krishna showed us that he went to Sandipani Muni. He is the supreme personality of God. He doesn't need to learn from anybody. He's called Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Yet to show us, he goes to Sandipani Muni's school. He's there with everyone and goes into the forest collecting firewood for his guru and coming back and offering obeisances to Sandipani Muni. And then Krishna says that this knowledge works like transcendental insurance. What is insurance? That we go through life, and whenever something disaster happens, there is some financial help for us that comes in. That is insurance. Transcendental insurance means we may be going along in life and sometimes unknowingly or because we have a lower nature, we do something very, very dramatically against our own benefit. We act against our own selves. It's called Vaishnava Aparad, or hitting someone, hurting someone, speaking some very hurtful words, or speaking lies, or cheating. We do all sorts of things unknowingly, perhaps, or unwillingly, perhaps. But with this transcendental knowledge, it's the insurance. It does not allow us to fall down into negative karma very badly. It protects us and brings us back on the path. That's why Bhagavad Gita we study. Because even if we learn one shloka or one lesson from it, in the crucial moments, either we will remember it or someone will remind us. So Krishna calls this transcendental insurance. I mean, this is my term, but that's how it comes to serve. So finally, he tells Arjuna, listen, Arjuna, now you're a warrior. This knowledge you should use like a sword, asina, and with that you should cut the shackles. So the analogy is this: just like the sword cuts shackles, knowledge destroys doubts. So if I have doubts in my spiritual life, if I have some concerns about what uh, what life is all about, how to progress, then we need to have this knowledge to cut those doubts. And then Krishna tells Arjuna, Atishtha. This is the last shloka of chapter 4. Atishtotishtha. So Atishtha means situated. Tishtha means to sit down. Atishta means situated. So firmly situated in this knowledge, Arjuna, Uttishta, stand up and fight. It's a very sweet play with words. So, what is being firmly situated? That means in my heart, I have a relationship of service to Krishna. I am Krishna's dasa or dasi. And everything that I'm supposed to do from morning till night is in that spirit of serving Krishna. So, we have some names. Das is to remind us every day I am a servant of Krishna. In Sri Vaishnavism, they'll say, Adiyen Ramanuja Dasan. I am the servant of Ramanujacharya, like that. So I'm serving, trying to serve Krishna in everything that I do. This is for Krishna's pleasure. This is for Krishna's benefit. To being situated in that understanding, Uttishta Arjuna, now get up and fight. Enough. A person like you, so weak and shattered by a challenge? No, get up. But what gives you strength to get up is this knowledge that you are doing it for me because I'm asking you to do this. And that is how this knowledge is going to help you perform your duty. So that's the summary of the chapter. Let's see if there are some comments, questions, concerns, objections, challenges.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
I love your name. I
That,
am a student of Ramayana. I just love anything to do with Lord Janaka or Janaki. Go ahead.
thank you so much. Uh, yeah. So my question is, uh, see, whenever I try to think in terms of serving Krishna, let's say preparing bhoga or prasadam for him, I feel like what rights do I have to kill a plant in order to serve my Lord? I mean, technically, sometimes I feel like when I've, to be honest, I have read books like Yogananda's autobiography, where he mentions that it is possible to live without eating also. So sometimes I feel I should probably take some such kind of a samadhi, and maybe I should stop hurting plant, just disappear from this world, because what good am I doing in any ways? So what rights do I have to over those plants? So
Yeah, we don't have any rights. So if you can breathe and survive, all good luck to you,
Okay.
right? Good luck, possible. If you can do it, great. Try. And just sitting down in samadhi and thinking that I'll breathe when hunger hits you, like anything, not you, it hits anyone,
Right.
then one will think, समोसा चाट हो जाए तो बढ़िया हो जाएगा.
Right. No, absolutely. I'm not claiming I'm able to do
I'm not
anything.
talking about you. I'm just
Okay.
saying
Mhm.
that it's not possible like that. And
Okay.
that even Lord Krishna understands.
Okay.
Therefore, he says in the third chapter, I made arrangements for everybody on earth to live happily by the arrangement with the devatas who will give rain, right? Parjanyat anna sambhava. If food is not important for a human being, why will you talk about anna?
Hmm.
But what to do with that anna he describes. I mean, if rain is growing rice and wheat, then what is it supposed to be? Just sit there? The wheat will come, grow, rot, and drop down again? There is a purpose why fruits and grains are growing,
Okay.
right? That he says, Parajanyat Anna Sambhava. But what does Anna do for a human being or for any living entity? He says, Annad Bhavati Bhutani. By food, one sustains life.
Hmm.
But he warns us that Yagyat Anna Sambhava, Parjanyat Anna Sambhava, and from Yagya comes rain. So this is a system of giving and taking.
Okay.
You give to Lord Vishnu that this is in the spirit of offering to you, and then benevolence comes. Now, why should one eat? That's the question. Krishna says to maintain life. Why maintain life? Because I have a goal. I have a goal to reach Vishnu. So Krishna has made an arrangement along the way. Like you're going from one place to another place, the government has built a road and it has built gas stations or petrol pumps along the way. Why?
Hmm.
So you can fill up gas and get to where you need to.
Okay.
So, but when one eats without remembering Vishnu or offering to Vishnu, then Krishna says, "Oh, such a person is a thief," and there are consequences for being a thief. For one
Okay.
who offers to Vishnu, there's no consequence.
Okay.
There are maybe a couple of people who can not eat. Great, let them do it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
But for every other human being like me, who only from morning till night thinks of eating, this is my only hope that Krishna's prasadam will take me forward. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu.
And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni describes Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. That is the principle of this world, that one living entity sustains by the help of another living entity. Jivasya Jivanam. Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. So the four-legged animals, the predators, eat other four-legged animals. The two-legged will eat or fight on the to predominate on the four-legged animals. They will eat grass, this will eat meat. These kinds of human beings will do that. Everyone is living on other living being. That's just the nature of the world.
Hmm.
But you want to go through it with minimal risk. That's the path of yoga. Least risk.
List.
Zero risk, not possible.
Okay.
Unless it is done for Vishnu.
Okay.
Can I have can I have an observation and then a question?
Please, Venkatesh, absolutely.
I joined this Philosophy Friday group where I watched a YouTube video where he said knowledge and realized knowledge. Aha, I get it. So when he said aha, I get it, I said, okay, this is the way I want to understand Bhagavad Gita and join this group. Now and from now to get to understand the whole of chapter 4 from his guru, it's been an absolute privilege. Thank you so much. And when I thank both you and your Sishya to come and give, absolutely, he's giving everything, whatever he can do in that group, he shares. And it's amazing to, I mean, last 2 weeks I wasn't part of this, both the sessions. I was a little worried. The session is getting over and you will have a session and I will miss it. So actually started the 5th chapter last week. I missed that also. But for consolidation of the 4th chapter, I'm so lucky to be part of this session, and it's amazing. So it's just brilliant. And to tell you the truth, now why worry when there is hurry? It's become something which I use very extensively. And he also, when he explained the 4th chapter, he told that Prabhupada said the best shloka is Janma Karma Chame Divyam. So that's something which, I mean, I never really understood properly then. After he explained it was that word Divyam and the way it is to be understood. It would be great if I can get to hear a little 30 seconds from you also on that particular shloka.
Sure. So this is the 9th verse in the 4th chapter. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam so Arjuna. So the first 2 lines are qualifiers. The second 2 lines are the heart of the verse, that one will attain me. Evam yo veti. Mam eti. To eta means to achieve me. Mam eti. Okay. He says, Arjuna, such a person will attain me. And there's a qualifier. How is that possible? Punarjanma naiti, will not have another birth. Oh, so for me to not take birth, what should I know? You need to know about my birth. So Krishna uses the word Janma. Now the word Janma, actually Krishna has no Janma. One of the names of Lord Vishnu is Aja, one who's never born. Now this is a play of words that one who's never born, Krishna says Janma, my birth. Cha karma, and my activities. And Krishna in this chapter only says, Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phales prabha. There is no karma for me. For everyone else, there is karma, not for me. So these 2 words, Janma, karma, are very confusing. Oh, you're saying you don't have any birth, you have no karma, yet you're saying Janma and karma. Yes. Evam yo veti tattvataha, one who knows in actuality. Tattvataha. Tattva means truth. Tattvataha means in truthfulness. One who understood this in actuality, in truth, for such a person. How do I understand that? First, then Krishna, you're not ordinary. That is important to understand. Many persons say, oh, I'm flirting with someone else's wife. Krishna also did. So our Acharya says, oh, you want to do like that? Good. Hold Govardhan on your little finger for 7 days. Okay, forget 7 days. Hold it for 1 day. Forget 1 day. Hold it for 10 minutes. Forget Govardhan Hill. Take a rice bag and hold it on your finger for 5 seconds. See what happens. If you can do that, then you can play around like that Rasa Leela. Otherwise, just shut up. That's the message they give us. So don't take part in part. Krishna's activities, they look nor ordinary. And this is where everyone gets confused. The more human-like he is, the more we think he is one of us. And that is the secret, that Janma and karma is not like that. That's just more than 30 seconds, but that we can go on for hours on that verse.
Thank you. So blessed to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Venkatesh.
May I ask one question?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Totally in the spirit of text 34, that is by submissive inquiry, I want to ask that, is it not that our bhakti is propelled by the biggest goal or the greed ever, that is to go to Golok? And so in that way, is it not defeating the purpose of ma phaleshu kadachana?
Yeah, I have a joke about ma phaleshu kadachana first. Can I tell you that joke? I personally don't eat any fruits. I don't like them. Since my childhood, I never ate any fruits. So my friends ask me, oh, Why don't you eat any fruits? And my answer is, I follow Bhagavad Gita carefully. Krishna says, Ma phaleshu kadachana, don't eat any fruits. Okay, so that's the wrong way of studying Bhagavad Gita, but you get the idea.
Right. Yeah.
Now, in our Vedic scriptures, there are two ways of understanding the words swartha. Okay, uh, in Sanskrit we say swa artha, for one's benefit. In English we call selfish and self-interest. So little semantic difference, and I'll explain. When swartha works towards nourishing my body or my mind, then that is called harmful. But that swartha that benefits my soul, then that is considered beneficial. So technically, let's say if I'm in a hospital, okay, Charu, I'm in a hospital.
Yeah.
And if someone tells me, take medicine, this will cure you, and I say, oh, that would be selfish. Okay, because
Yeah.
there are other patients also. If I take medicine and become healthy and leave the hospital, that is very selfish. What would you say? You'd say no. Yeah. Rather, I take the medicine, become healthy, and help hundreds of people.
Right.
So
Right.
worshipping Vishnu is that swartha, that if once I can help myself, then I can help others.
Okay.
That is
Got your
the
point,
spirit
Prabhu.
of the.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
You're welcome. Ajita, can you keep track of the chat box? I'm not. So if someone's asking there, we'll know. Okay. Yeah. Who wanted to ask? Yogesh?
Hare Krishna Swami.
Appreciation.
Yes, Yogesh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. This may be a generic question, but it has been going in my head for a very long time. So
Okay.
it is so the Upanishads and the Vedas state that the Brahman, which is Krishna, they do not have form, character. I mean, they have, they're Anandamaya and all of those. But whereas we define the word, I mean, we say Bhagavad Priti, and it says, so does Krishna have liking, or what is the difference between the Saguna Brahma and Nirguna Brahma, and how is it related to each other, and how should it be understood and interpreted?
Excellent question, Yogesh. Excellent question. The word Brahma literally means spiritual. Okay. So that way, Lord Krishna is also Brahman. You, I, everyone else here, every living being is also Brahman. Okay. He is Brahman, I'm also Brahman. However, there is distinction. He is called Parabrahman, and I'm just Atman, is small. So Prabhupada uses the language qualitatively one, quantitatively different. For example, I'm a human being, and so are you. So we are equal in being human beings, but we are very unequal in certain aspects. Perhaps the intelligence you have, I don't have. The wealth you may have, I don't have. The skill you have, I don't have. We are different though. Although we are one as human beings. We may be one as Indians. We may be one as men. That oneness is there, right? But distinction is also there. I'm not you. When you eat, my stomach does not get full, right? If that is the case, then I will tell you from today onwards, I will eat and you and Janak can be happy. Don't worry about it, right? But Krishna is called the Atma of the entire world, that when Krishna eats, everyone is satisfied. Okay, so that's Brahman differentiation. So we say Aham Brahmasmi, which is fine. Krishna is also Brahman. Now he is Parabrahman, quantitatively very, very intense or high, full. Then the Vedas talk about Saguna and Nirguna. Guna means quality, attributes, and Saguna means with attributes, and Nirguna means without attributes. And the Vedas are like a pharmacy, medical store. In the medical store, you have medicine for curing constipation, and you have medicine for curing dysentery. Same medical store has two opposite medicines. Similarly, the Vedas have some aspect where they say the supreme is Nirguna and the supreme is Saguna. Some people will take only the Nirguna aspect and say the Supreme Lord does not have form, does not have any qualities. You are God, I am God, everyone is God. We are one, Brahman. That is only partly correct. Qualitatively correct, but quantitatively. So now the Vedas cannot teach opposites. They have to reconcile. In the Vedanta Sutra, there is a term called Samanvaya. Samanvaya means I take this and I take that, and both should match. Otherwise, the Vedas are contradictory. They should match, they should reconcile. In business, we have balance sheet, asset side, liability side. The numbers are different, but they have to match. Only then the sheet is balanced. Well, let's say I may say I am the head of an organization. Is that correct? Maybe I may be the CEO. But are there other CEOs that are bigger of bigger corporations? Sure. So within my company, I am the supreme, but I am not supreme across the board. So the way to reconcile Saguna and Nirguna, our acharyas explain that if you understand, again, Venkatesh, this Janma Karma Chame Divyam, that Krishna or Vishnu is not a human being with flesh and bones. Okay, so Saguna means he has characteristics, he has attributes, and Nirguna means he does not have material characteristics and material attributes. This is how both statements are true. We think that Krishna, because he's standing in front of us, stealing butter, whatever, that is, he's like with flesh, blood, skin, bones. No, in that sense, Nirguna. But personality with liking, disliking, feelings, love, Saguna. Together. So the best way Prabhupada teaches it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material characteristics. In that sense, he is Nirguna. We have material characteristics. Does that satisfy you?
Yes, it does. Do have one other follow-up question. So when we say yes,
Just give me a second. So for
okay.
those of you, 8:30 is our end time. So those of you want to leave, you're welcome to leave. Those of you want to stay back for Q&A are welcome to stay back for Q&A. So don't feel forced to stay back. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So I have a follow-up question to that. So yes, we do not take into consideration the material characteristics, but whereas when we head towards the emotional characteristics like happiness, anandam, and all of that, do we also take into characteristics? Do we also take into account for sadness, or
Yeah,
how would that be taken into account?
sure. We are separated from Krishna right now, right? We separated ourselves for whatever reason. We are sad that we don't find Ananda, spiritual Ananda, because of that disconnection. Is Krishna sad that we are disconnected? Absolutely. Absolutely. It hurts that someone very near and dear like us has gone away. But it doesn't mean that he's from morning to night. He is crying for us, no doubt. But at the same time, he's Ananda. Remember, opposites are always there in Krishna. By nature, he is Satchidananda. It doesn't mean he doesn't care. He cares. But we are also Satchidananda in our real identity. But our feelings or emotions are very material. I will cry from morning to night if I lose my iPhone, or if I lose a job, or I lose a family member. Then I cry. It's a material emotion. But I have emotion because my soul by nature has emotion, but body doesn't have emotion. It's a dead matter. It's like saying my shirt will cry. Shirt is just a covering. It's me who's crying. It's the soul that is searching for Ananda. And because it does not have Krishna right now, it is not in happiness condition. So it does things by taking on a phone, risk relationship, job, money, security, home, and thinks, I'm going to be happy for the moment. It's not like that. It's artificial.
Perfect. Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Yogesh. Excellent questions. Thank you.
We'll take the
Are we
last.
done?
Sorry,
Okay.
Prabhuji. Can I take one last?
Are we done?
Just one
You're
last.
the boss.
Shanu,
You're
he's
the boss. I'm your servant.
God.
Look at you. You're sitting in such bright light. I'm sitting in darkness. So.
You're glowing, Prabhuji.
Oh yeah.
So for those of you who don't know our relationship, Prabhuji likes to make fun of me, and he tries to glorify me and thereby break my pride. Okay, Krishna was asking, Hare Krishna, dear Prabhuji, Pamho, as you said that as Pamho is, please accept my humble obeisances for those of you who don't know. As you said that as swords cut down shackles, knowledge cuts down doubts, but most often I get situations where I get self-doubt before acting, and I don't find which knowledge to apply there to cut down the doubt in that moment so as to decide how to act. Looking for just a practical hack. Thank you so much.
All
Krishna,
right. I'm going to give you a Bhagavad Gita practical hack. Whenever you're suffering from self-doubt, or not just you, any one of us, and we have self-doubt, it's important to know who we are. And one of the most motivating verses in the Bhagavad Gita is chapter 15, verse number 15. Okay, where Krishna says, Mama eva amsha jivaloke. Every living being is my part and parcel. So you, Krishnanu, in fact, your name is also Krishnanu, following Krishna. Yeah, I am a part of Krishna. Can you imagine? I am not Krishna. I am a part of Krishna. Mama eva amsha jiva loke. Jiva bhuta sanatana. For eternally, not yesterday. And it's not that tomorrow it will go away. I am that eternal part, spark of Krishna. Like in a big fire, sometimes spark comes out. We are the tiny spark, Yogesh, that little tiny part. Then Krishna says, Manaha sashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. But the living being, that my part actually is trapped in the mind and the five senses, and in this world starts to struggle. Karshati. Manaha sashtani indriyani prakriti sthani, situated in matter, struggles. So we're struggling because we are stuck in matter. But really, we are part of the Supreme Krishna. So that self-doubt, let the first two lines tell us who we are. The second two lines tell us our current condition.
thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. It's
Thank
such
you
a
so much,
joy to
Prabhuji.
be with all of you.
I had one question if it's okay. Otherwise,
Ajita is the boss.
No,
I'm just a
Prabhuji.
servant.
You okay with one more question?
I have another meeting coming up in 7 minutes, so I've got to, let's keep this short if you don't mind.
Yeah, so
Sohil.
yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
So the question is, I've generally noticed that spiritual knowledge, maybe in the form of knowledge or bhakti, is easier to acquire when done in groups along with someone,
Sure.
rather than done alone. So why is it like that? Is it supposed to be like that in Kali Yuga, or why?
You know, when I was young, I had heard a story from Panchatantra where Vishnu Sharma is teaching these boys, the princes from this kingdom. He gives them one stick and tells them to break it, and very quickly they break it. Then he gives them a stack of sticks and says, now you break it. They can't break it, right? So from that has come the slogan, united we stand, divided we fall. The power of Maya means the attraction of the world is so strong that alone is a little difficult, especially in the beginning when we are cultivating some strength. But when we do it together, then attacking a group is not so easy.
Okay.
So in Kali Yuga, Maya attacks a group where there is love and friendship and connection. She attacks that group by putting quarrel between any two persons in that group. And from there, everything falls apart. So we call it Kali Yuga. Kali means quarreling with each other.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Prabhu. Thank you so
Have
much.
a wonderful rest of the weekend. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Until we meet again.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you,
everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks, everyone.